Lead acid batteries and gasoline. All right. First world. Really fucking cutting edge over here. You might notice that the lithium start batteries have hit. And they work. This one's lead acid. Prices are converging. Pretty soon you'll be able to get a lithium starting battery at the exact same price as lead. For the lower C rates, that's what you're already seeing. You got some kind of alarm panel, something like that. It needs a standby backup battery. It is actually cheaper to buy lithium batteries. A second. That was man, I've been a little off on my driving lately. It is actually cheaper to buy a battery that has like 50% more capacity, 1,000% more cycles, you know, more predictable, flatter discharge, just everything about it better. So, almost there with cars. Now, hot war, cold war, infighting, civil war. Why? A lot of people will tell you it's because of the businessmen. You know I don't have any comment on that. Don't speak of it. Well, I just gave another man $85 at the old gas station so I could drive my automobile, because I'm a real American. Got my... How many liters is this? It's a V6. 2.8 liter V6. I don't know, I got so many cars that get them mixed up. 280 horsepower with 250 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty sorry performance compared to what a Tesla automobile could do. It's got a big metal can underneath it that's rubber coated, and you fill it full of this thoroughly volatile substance, gasoline. If you just sniff it, you'll be like, huh! And we're over here combusting it. And right now I'm blowing it out the back. I'm blowing stink fumes out the back. And there's a bunch of good old boys who say that whole electric car thing is a novel idea. This concept that I could drive a sport luxury sedan with what they call a rechargeable battery now. Oh, it's not full of AA's, because think about how many AA batteries you'd have to stick in a Tesla if you wanted to run it off alkaline. Huh? How many AA batteries would you have to poke into the butt of a Tesla to get 100 kilowatt hours? How many watt hours is a regular fucking AA? That's something to look up. You just have to do the math, right? Go to Google, say, how many watt hours is a AA battery? Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10. Who knows? Like an 18650 is 10. So, it is a higher density because it's a disposable. Let's just call it 10 watt hours. It isn't, I don't think. It's less. It's a good round number. Well, how many times does 10 go into 100,000? That's a decade problem, right? So it would be 10,000 AA batteries. They're just rough numbers, right? Hey, I don't care if it's 20 or 50 or 5. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of disposable AA batteries. Well, just flip your Tesla over and start sticking them in there. 10,000 of them. And go 300 miles. And then just spill them all out all over the road. And well, your fingers are probably tired from sticking those AA batteries in there, so, you know, have someone else do it. Yeah? Have someone else do it while you're asleep. They can stay up at night sticking new alkaline batteries in your Tesla. Now, it turns out Tesla has a rechargeable battery. Yeah? At least a few hundred times, maybe a few thousand times. Depends on how you count. A few thousand is probably about right. So, just think about your laptop or your phone. It's the same technology, just 18650s, basically. You got this here rechargeable car, huh? Oh, well, it's 35 cents a kilowatt to refill that. All right, well, what's 35 cents times 100? That's $35. So, right off the bat, even if I paid top tier rate, it costs about half as much to fill up a Tesla as it does to fill this piece of shit up with gasoline. That's not really necessary. It is not a novel idea to use solar power to fill your car. How much do you need? Well, how much are you driving? Right? Well, I drive 100 miles a day. I drive an hour out and an hour back. It's a lot of miles. It's like a third of a Tesla tank. We call it 33%, 33 kilowatt hours. Pick a round number. 42 kilowatt hours. All right. Well, you got to make up that much every day. 42 kilowatt hours. I mean, if I'm driving hard and going uphill and I'm not getting a chance to regen and I'm making a few errands, I don't know. That's kind of a high side number. But, we could use 25. I think it's probably reasonable. You can look up the numbers. 42 kilowatt hours. Well, you got 6 hours in a day. Now you got this fucked up math to do, right? Just say you got 6 hours of solar every day. So you got 5 hours of solar every day because you're doing other stuff. Well, I can count on my fingers. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. About 8 times. So, whatever I've got is going to get multiplied by 8. What if I had 8,000 watts? 8,000 watts times 5 hours. What would that equal? 40 kilowatt hours. Oh, so I need an 8 kilowatt solar array. Let's round that up to 10 kW. So you mean if I had a 10 kW solar array, I would be stuffing away 60 kW of power a day, and I could use it for all kinds of other stuff, and then I could fill up my car at night. Yeah. Well, how much does that cost? Right now, 25 cents a kilowatt. So about $2,500 will get you a 10 kW array. That's just the solar panels. That's laying them out in the backyard. No mounting, no inverter. Well, how much does an inverter cost? Well, for that, you need a battery storage inverter because, the solar panels wouldn't really be helping you. You'd be dumping it into the grid and getting paid by PG&E about fucking a penny on the dollar, right? So you'd have to have some batteries. So you need a grid tie about, for 10,000 watts, about $2,000. Yeah. So now you're into it $4,500. All right. Well, here's the trouble. Now you need a big stack of batteries. So, in the next 10 years, what you're going to see is that people use broken down cars as their stationary storage. And it's a mobile stationary storage. That's a car that won't run on the road, but will still take a charge and give a charge. Yeah? Until then, you're looking at rack and stack batteries. All sorts of rack and stack. Let's just do it with, fuck it, dude. 12 volt, 100 amp hour. Run of the mills. So you get Li-Time batteries. They're $250 each. You get 4 of them. That's $1,000 shipped to your door. Turnkey, ISO 9001, no problems. Legit batteries. 4 of those in series. That makes about 5 kilowatt hours. Go figure it. Yeah. So for every $1,000, you get 5 kilowatt hours. 20 cents. Well, how many kilowatt hours do we need to stow? We said we got a 10 kilowatt hour array running for 6 hours a day, call it 5, something like 50, 60 kilowatt hours. We'll call it 50 kilowatt hours. Oh, what's 50 divided by 5? It's 10. So you need $10,000 worth of batteries. That sounds about right. So $10,000 worth of batteries, $2,000 worth of inverter, and $4,500 worth of solar. That would get you operational with some cable that you could pull out of a dumpster, with flopping them down on the ground, so you have to have some land. And the idea there is that all day long the sun is pounding on your panels. Your panels are pounding on your inverter. Your inverter is stuffing that in what is presumably an empty battery. You can take a full fucking charge, dude. Half a fucking Tesla battery pack in your garage. Then you get home, now you get that energy out. Well, that same box you paid $2,000 for that also produced 240. And I have personally verified that you can hook up a Tesla 2 kW charger to that, so long as you have an earth to neutral bond, right, which I jumpered, and you can start pumping that 50 kW into your Tesla. That'll take 25 hours, right? 50 kW divided by 2 kW, that'd be 25. That's too slow. You don't need a high rate charger. I mean, at a minimum, something like, you'd be pushing like 5 kW, 7.5. You're gonna need a NEMA 1430, 7.5 kW, something like that. That sounds about right. It'll get done. Wake up in the morning, all that battery juice that you stowed from the sun will be in your car. You drive to work. So how much will you save? Well, I get 20 miles to the gallon and I go 100 miles a day. There you go. I burn 5 gallons a day. I just paid $5 a gallon, 25 bucks a day, at least. All right. Something like 125 bucks a week, 500 bucks a month. How long does it take to pay off? Call it 10 months, 500 bucks a month, $5,000 a year. How many years have I been doing this? We just said it was about $15,000 to get set up, plus a $15,000 Tesla. That's 30,000 bucks. You can't include the Tesla because you got to buy a car anyways. I paid 10,000 for this one. It's going to wear out. It's got 170,000 miles on it. Well, $5,000 a year. Take 3 years to pay it off. And after that, I save $500 a month until my shit wears out. Right? That's where quality goods comes in. How many cycles can you get out of your batteries? How safe are your batteries? Did you have a fucking Hollywood firestorm and lose all your batteries? So in the early days, the plan was just to take nothing but absolutely wrecked cars and use their batteries, you know, without even removing it from the car. The trouble is they put so many fucking interlocks in there, it doesn't work. It's Tom Hackery to the max, dude. Every single EV has a different batch of Tom Hackery on it. Different BMS, different communication protocol, different contactors, different fusing, different fucking requirements, different data bus. Didn't pan out. Because the industry was all supposed to take, you know, the cue that, hey, this one's funded. Follow along and take the easy ride. If we all build it the same, then it will all work the same. Like, do you think the military wants to have every single piece of equipment completely different, such that they have to train a specialist for every single fucking piece of equipment? They might do that because they have to. They might do that for adversarial, but that's not what they want. What they want is all the fucking machines to be the same. The same 24-volt battery or 12-volt battery. The same grounding schema. The same color wires. The same communication. That way you can build and validate things and just keep using them. Instead of building anew and validating and building anew and validating and building anew and validating. The solar industry is a little bit better. For the most part, all those work the same. You hook them to mains on one side. You hook them to the fucking batteries on the other side. You hook them to the solar panel on the third side. And it just works. You have firmware menus and options to communicate, but you don't need to. So, some good old boys think that's a novel idea. Well, that won't work for me, so I don't think that'll work. They're living someplace where it fucking snows all winter. And they're right, it won't work. I mean, you can make it work, but it's tough. That's why we just bought a batch of bipolar, haha, Freudian slip, bifacial solar panels, right? Because nobody wants to get up on the roof and scrape the solar panels off every single day after work. That's bullshit. That shit won't work. Nobody's scraping any fucking solar panels. So you gotta have vertical solar panels. Near vertical. They pick up power on both sides. My car says it's fucking... Alright, yeah. They shove off the snow. They capture the reflected sunlight off the snow. Snow is a very good reflector. You know this if you ski. Right? You know this. Very good reflector, the snow is. You're not going to get what you're going to get in Arizona. You know, 10,000 watts of solar panels might give you 6,000 watts. Unless you're in Arizona. Now, if you're in the snow, it might give you 3,000 watts. So now all of a sudden you need a 30 kilowatt solar array. So you need to spend 7.5K instead of 2.5K. Well, that's the cost of living someplace where it fucking snows. It's cheaper there. You buy a goddamn house for $20,000. You buy land for $40,000. Here, you can't even buy a fucking lot to park a trailer for less than $400,000. So we have a little higher cost of living around here because of the nicer weather. Now you out there, you're gonna have to fucking suck it up and buy more solar and more inverters and more batteries. No, you won't need more batteries. You won't need more inverters. You're gonna need more solar panels. And you gotta find some way to get that all to fucking hook up right, not make too much voltage, not make too much current, and break up the MPPT channels. You're gonna have to choose carefully. But there are no fewer than 99 men who've done it year over year on YouTube and shown you that it works. There's no fucking tricks there, dude. I was one of those guys. I think there's probably more like 9,999 of us, where we showed you that you can go get used solar panels, you can go get used inverters, you can go get used batteries, you can fix all that shit. IGBTs and MOSFETs. Right now, 5 kilowatt grid tie inverters are $100. I've got 8 of them. I wouldn't sell them to you at any price. I'd give you one. If I thought you could hook it up without fucking up. To hook all this shit up, $10,000. You need an electrician. You need a permitting process, which is a fucking process. You need roof mounting. You need engineering sign-offs. You need a DC specialist. You need a firmware Mickey Mouse box specialist. So basically, if you got me any journeyman electrician and you had a good functional permitting process and you threw another $1,000 in there for mounting, and you know, whether it's stand-up mounting in the snow or whether that's roof mounting, and you gave me any alarm installer, right? Service tech for alarms, they can figure out a solar box. Just a manual. You read the fucking manual, you set it up. The first time you're scared, every time after that, they're all the same. What's my frequency? 50 hertz or 60 hertz? What's my schedule? Do you want to do anything funny with the schedule? What's the maximum current that can go into the batteries that are being charged? What's the lowest voltage you want to discharge the batteries to? What's the highest voltage you want to charge the batteries to? How do you, who's going to install the solar array? Now you need a solar installer, because electricians and alarm installers and battery specialists, they don't quite fucking get it, dude. They can. Many men can, but only because they've invested the time to understand it. You wire the panels in series, and the voltage stacks up. There's a maximum voltage. You wire the panels in parallel, and the current stacks up. There's some funny business in there. You end up with series parallel configurations. Maybe 3 panels in parallel, and that's in series with 3 panels in parallel. Maybe you have parallel strings, right? Most guys choose to make it simple. You just have a loop into an MPPT. You have a loop into an MPPT. No series paralleling. You got new panels or used panels. Do you have to characterize them? Do you have a way to characterize them? Do you know how? Do you know what your maximum open circuit voltage is? Do you know what your expected loaded down maximum power point voltage is? Do you know what your maximum short circuit current is? Do you know what the current is when they're maximally loaded? Can you do math? It's not even algebra. It's addition and subtraction. You might have to divide or multiply. Now, where the fuck is my phone charger? None of that's my phone charger. Why do I not have a phone charger in here? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so why did I tell you all that? Well, if you missed all the other videos, I walked you through everything you need to do. I showed you that any man, if he puts his nose in the book, can figure out how to hook it up. Most men, we can assume they can do basic math. It is assumed that most men can read. Most men don't understand electricity. That's the trouble. Most men understand a carburetor better than they understand electricity. Electricity is simple compared to a carburetor. Remember how I showed you how I can repair any machine? 4-barrel Holley carburetor, single barrel Chevy carburetor, Honda carburetor, yellow Costco carburetor. You know how I showed you how to find that man who does nothing but fix things? James Conroe. He'll teach you how to do it. If you want to learn more about them carburetors, I told you, it's not that hard. Well, it's not that hard for me. Alright, let's be fair. I'm an electrical engineer. I have an actual certificate from an accredited institution that says I'm an electronics engineer, specifically electronics. That means software and firmware and protocols, all that shit. So I can not only understand it, I can troubleshoot it, I can create it. I've shown you many times how I grab an Arduino and I make the interface. Here's the LCD screen. Here's the user buttons. They're debounced. Here's the UART. Here it is converted to USB. Here's the CAN. Here's the CAN drivers and the termination. Here's the RS-45 and the termination. Here's the twisted wires. Here's the isolated interfaces. Here's the Wi-Fi nugget. Here's the LTE nugget. Here's the BLE nugget. Remember SEIOT, Schiller Engineering? How to make your own IP67 super low power device? Remember how I jumped off a cliff with it? So I'm an electronics engineer. That's not fair. I should probably be punished for taking the time to understand these things and expecting other people to. I not only have a certificate, I graduated at the top of my class, the 4.0, and worked 25 years in the field, building shit. Oh, here we go. Hard pass on the right. New BMW. Just a kid. No blinker. Changing multiple lanes at once. Passing on the right at 130. I see that kind of shit. That doesn't even make me mad. What makes me mad is F-150 pickup trucks tailgating me in the pouring rain with zero visibility. There's a difference. Yeah, that kid might stack. That's alright. Moving fast today. Well, so I'm at a bit of an advantage here because I have a degree specifically that states that I understand Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's current law and nodal analysis and superposition theorem and calculus. Right? It's been verified. I know how to work spreadsheets. I know how to write C. I know how to write Python. I know how to write LabVIEW. I know how to write Java. I know how to debug and repair all of those. I know how to solder. I know how to produce PCBs. I know how to lay out PCBs. I know every tool in the fucking shop. Put me in front of a bandsaw, give me an angle grinder, where's the nail gun? I understand my adhesives. I understand my materials. I understand how to weld. Right? We don't have to go through all this again. Everything that a man would want to do, I can show you proficiency with that. So I guess you're at a disadvantage here because I already know all those things. I spent a lot of my time learning all of those trades. I'm a fucking plumber. I'm a fucking roofer, right? Anything on a house, anything on a car, anything that is sold in the market, I can tear it down, I can find root cause, I can fucking repair it. I'm a rework master in a microscope. Tiny things you can't even see. I understand how they work. I can design them from scratch. I can debug them from scratch. What about all that software? What about the cloud and the internet? I went to Stanford. Stopped off there, picked up a master's degree in electrical engineering, where I majored in compilers. Written a compiler from scratch. Went through the hell, which was the beginnings of Android. First one got scrapped when Apple came out. Everyone loved the Apple so much that they had to abandon the plan and emulate what they did. It was just a single touch display. Then it was a multi-touch display. It was just a shitty camera. And it was a good camera. I had the original Nokia phone that could actually take a video, which is just a series of still shots. I don't even know if the video had audio. Accelerometers, GPS, better antenna sets, better efficiency, better plugs. Oh yeah, I understand cellular phones and all the failings, the battery failings, the connector failings, the screen failings, the boot loading. I understand the internet. How to set up the internet, how to serve the internet, how to have a database, interact with the database, how to set up security, what the security means, what the vulnerabilities are. I know how to write a GUI, graphical user interface. I understand what the failings are. I know what to look for. I know how to architect software. Now, I wouldn't be the guy to go to for a giant software architecture. There's other guys for that. What I can tell you is two basic ways. One that works unconditionally, and one that is pure fucking lucky. So, with all those advantages, I'm able to just look at a situation and say, this gas car is not as good of a deal as Tesla with a solar setup. Now, the one thing we didn't argue in there is, how long does my Tesla last? How long does my solar setup last? The solar panels are coming with 30-year warranties now, but the company will be out of business by the time you can collect, and good luck proving it. You have to move sometimes. So what happens? Are you going to take your solar array with you, or are you going to leave it behind? Does it add value to your house, or does it subtract value? Is it permitted or not? Did anyone steal your stuff? Did your stuff burn up in a fire? Can you insure your stuff? Well, most people paid $100 grand for their Tesla. Maybe 60 grand, somewhere in there, 60 to 100,000. Well, it doesn't cost them 60 to 100,000 to replace it, because you can buy a Tesla right now for $15,000. Model S. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Show me the fucking money and I'll show you a Tesla. You couldn't even buy the fucking scrap for that. If you took the car and broke it down into all the different pieces and threw away anything that wasn't screwed together, like the unibody. So you just stripped a Tesla and then sent the unibody to the fucking, you just dropped it off at the Mexican border, dude. And you had nothing but the wiring harness and the tail lights and the steering wheel and the infotainment, you know? I don't know, can you pull a window out? Yeah, you can swap the windows. Why wouldn't you be able to? You could take a window out to replace it, and you could take a window out. All right, dump the unibody. How much is a fucking stripped Tesla worth? Woo! Hell of a lot more than $15,000. It costs you $900 just to get a new window in a Tesla. It's mostly labor and expensive parts. Tesla has a fucking stranglehold on the supply chain. They didn't release. If I want a new alternator for this car, I go to O'Reilly Auto Parts. If I need a new battery, I go to O'Reilly Auto Parts. If I need a new water pump, I go to O'Reilly Auto Parts. If I need spark plugs and wires, coil-over plugs, distributor caps and rotors, anything that's consumable, air filter, windshield washer fluid, I go to O'Reilly Auto Parts. Need a set of tires? I go to whatever guy. Fuck, go to my friend's house, throw some on there. I go to the tire rack. If I got a part on this car that's fucked, buy it used on eBay. Go to a junkyard. Alright? So that's starting to grow for the Tesla. There's a huge market on eBay and private yards where you can get any replacement part you need. Now there's some fuckery in there. It's all got to play nice together. You need a goddamn firmware guru and some fucking pirated software. And Tesla will fuck with you up and down the street. Reference, leader of the electric revolution, Rich Rebuilds, for solving the Tesla in his garage with the help of many others. At one point, I was the leader of the electric revolution. At one point, Justin was the leader of the electric revolution. At one point, others have been the leader. Rich Rebuilds took on the biggest task and delivered. He kept the videos up. You can go with him step by step and feel the pain of what it takes to build a fucked Tesla from nothing. Oh boy, it's a hard ride. Elon was not kind to the DIY community at all. If you're an insider, like over there at Facebook, you know, an insider, yeah, you know, you can get it done. If you're an outsider, you're fucked. It's an insider's gig, dude. It's like Porsche. And I decided when I buy my Porsche, I'm gonna call it my Porchy. I will own a Porsche, and when I do, I'm going to refer to it as my Porchy, because I know that some people are like, it's a Porsche, it's a Porsche. Well, for me, it's a Porchy. I want one. I want to feel what it's like to drive the finest German machine. Whoa! That dude wants to die. most of my youth we spent at war, fighting over gas. That's why we made Tesla. We're not supposed to have to fight over gas anymore. We are there in terms of the technology and even the economy of scale. All that's left is all the motherfuckers in the way. And now we got Pumpkinhead over here who's decided that's not such a good plan. In fact, what we should do is just start drilling more holes in the ground. Get more of that oil! Ha ha! Plenty of oil here. Get the old fracker out, dude. Let's frack and get some fucking gas. Woo! Frack a racket. Fuck. Woohoo! Let's do some fracking. Let's get some oil. Hell yeah. Alright, fine. I'm not an environmentalist to the degree that I would say you shouldn't drill for oil. Cost of a gallon of gasoline should be $1. But I'm fine with it if it's $10. There needs to be DC fast charge fucking everywhere. And it has to be bi-directional. That's where they missed. Tesla charge stations don't have the ability to push back. I mean, they have the ability, but they don't turn it on to push back on the grid. Such that you can park your Tesla there and it can hold the grid up. That's your community microgrid. That was the original fucking pitch, dude. Bi-directional power transfer. The grid isn't something you just drink off of like a river, dude. It's a two-way river. Picture the Amazon with all those fucking rivers. They're bi-directional, dude. Well, that's not the most profitable. That doesn't make my shareholders the most money. Well, that's why it's not working. There's nothing technologically broken about it. It's got some logistics in there. It's not simple. You need more instrumentation. It has fucking, it's hinky. But if we decide it, it's done. Every fucking car that's parked at the workplace can push back on the grid if it has to. It's called grid stabilization. You choose. How much do you want to give up? 10%? 20%? 50%? Everybody has a choice. ChargePoint piloted it. With you buy a DC fast charger and you set the price and you can sell other people power. I tried pitching the fucking bi-directional. The then CEO, who's been stood down, said, we are a transformerless design. We can go bi-directional. And I did see demonstrations in the lab of bi-directionality. They certainly can. That's how you test them. But well, I'm in the wrong lane. Alright, let's take this exit. Tesla's right up ahead. Let's go drive by. I like Tesla. If you haven't figured that out yet, you're on the wrong channel. So, ChargePoint piloted, and fundamentally, they tried to stick 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound box, and Tesla won out because Tesla just builds big, ugly box. One big, ugly box, and then a bunch of pretty chargers. That's much more feasible than trying to make 20 boxes that each have 10 pounds of shit in them. And then you'll see later, Tesla or ChargePoint moved over to that same concept. Now that they're doing, buses and shit like that. A big metal box full of what you need that is serviceable. And then a means to pump the power into the vehicle. Now you have to start thinking of automobiles differently. They are not consumers of gasoline. They are storers of energy. Energy comes from many places. Your work may have a bunch of solar panels on the roof, in a field, and abundance. Currently, that's pumped back onto the grid. All right, it's a big, hinky problem. It's actually a pretty good fucking deal, except for it's been all tied up in regulation and greed and misunderstanding. So there's a concept called mobile stationary storage. This is a battery that changes constantly. It's made up of 5, 10, 15, 20 different pieces, and each one of them is interlocked. It might be a Tesla, it might be a BMW, it might be a Ford, it might be a Volkswagen. You don't know. They can all hook up to charge. You get that. Well, they can also hook up to discharge. You can shift the power around like currency. Your car is a holder. It's a wallet. It's a Bitcoin wallet. You can make deposits and you can make withdrawals. You can charge for this. You could probably piece together a living out of just shuttling energy. Now, it's obviously more efficient to shuttle energy around on wires. Yeah, well, who maintains those wires? How much does that cost? It's pretty fucking expensive. Wires everywhere, dude. In the air, underground. The wire itself isn't what expensive, it's cheap wire. It's the upkeep of it, dude. It's a killer. You want some trunks. You want some main hubs. You want some AC coupling. You want some DC coupling, but you don't want a one-way path like the gas station. All right? So the electric company burns coal and burns oil and burns propane and burns natural gas and burns nuclear waste, and they burn shit and make electricity, and they pump it down the wires, and then you burn it at your house. Cooking food, warming the house, turning on the lights, charging your car, okay? The gas station drills holes in the ground, they get oil, they refine that shit, and they ship it all over hell, and everybody gambles on it. It's Tesla to our right. That's the new United Motor Company. Knew me. Knew a bunch of people who used to work there. Now you need to start thinking about it a little bit different. Your car is a Bitcoin wallet. You can make deposits. You can make withdrawals. You can buy low. You can sell high. You can charge when it's cheap. And you can sell when it's expensive. Now, currently, around here, it's Pacific Gas and Electric. They are not giving a fair shake. They're saying we need the profit to maintain this fuck all system we've got. And I empathize. I like the PG&E men. And it's men. I've seen like one PG&E lady ever. I'm talking about people who climb poles and fix fucking wires, dude. The men. Dangerous work. Hard work. Going down into fucking tunnels, climbing up fucking poles, working with 20,000 volts, working with 1,000,000 volts, dude. Alright? It's a fuck all system. It's fucked, and until it is replaced, it must persist. It can only be replaced in a disruptive way. The current policy will not allow you to displace it. I mean, policy at every level, mostly local. If your locality decided they wanted to disrupt the power system, they could. But usually they do the opposite. They say, we want to inspect everything. We want to sign off on everything. You have to use these expensive installers. You can't do it yourself. You need to pay $20,000 to get 4,000 watts of electricity. That's 4,000 watts for 6 hours a day. They've managed to make that fucking break even at that super rip-off deal. How do you know you're at war? When you hear the cannons firing. When you go into LinkedIn and people are losing their fucking mind. When Elon is at the controls of the fucking money pot. That's Elon's factory right behind us. There's going to be pissed off people on both sides, dude. There is no easy ride here. Unless it's all been a bluff and they're about to back off. It's all just a big show. You're about to see it. If we weren't so broke, I would say it's definitely a bluff. But we really are that broke. $42 trillion. That's the number when the parachute blows. When you jump out of an airplane in the sky, you might have a different sort of setup. Maybe yours will only go if you pull the cord. Maybe yours will go if you reach a certain altitude. Right? This is when you get your head hit on the way out of the airplane. This is when you pass out from centrifugal force, you know? Won't necessarily help you when you're in a tumble to have your parachute open. It's just going to tangle around you and strangle you and slow you down on the way down. Maybe every bone in your body will be broken. When you're in free fall, you got to stabilize. And then once you're stable and you stop spinning and tumbling, then you need to pull your parachute. Then you need to steer and fly and land. Not too hard. It's quite the fucking art. Well, at $42 trillion, a parachute's gonna pop out. And if we're tumbling, we're gonna get tangled up in it. We're gonna hit the ground hard. Then you're gonna see military control. Just like COVID. Don't go out at night. Where are you going? Where are your papers? Are you with the rebellion? That kind of shit. If you think that can't happen, then you are definitely one of the cattle. So don't let it happen. Continuing to pretend that what we're doing is working is not working. We have to rectify the US fucking spend, dude. We're spending more than we're earning, and there's no more to take. I already pay 40%. Healthcare, taxes, insurance. There's no more to take.